Dedicated. Okay. King of Kings. Woo. Dedicated. Stand on the Bible is predicated. Been tall, spirit elevated. Align with the word that activated. Dedicated. Stand on the Bible is predicated. Been tall, spirit elevated. Align with the word that activated. Dedicated. Stand on the Bible is predicated. Been tall, spirit elevated. Align with the word that activated. Dedicated. Woo. Dedicated. 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 King of Kings, my Elohim is the most high, yeah. King of Kings is my Elohim is the most high, yeah.
All right, hallelujah, shalom. Does anybody have anything to bring out before we get it started? The title of tonight's lesson is hold up, proven before the battle. Right? Proven before the battle. So we're gonna get into this word to be tested or tempted. A lot of times we look at the word tempted or temptation as a negative thing, but really it just means to be tried, right? So for a person who is tempted, that just means that there is a trial before you, right? And there are certain trials that we as saints of the Most High have to go through. We have to endure, but it's to prepare you, it's to strengthen you, right? It is to it's to build you up, a sure foundation, so that when the battles that are further down the line, when they approach you, you'll be able to conquer with no issue, right? This is how the Most High has done us from the foundation, right? Always building us up, giving us His word, putting it in us, and the purpose is so that when the trial comes, when the enemy comes against you, that you can endure, right? You can endure. You can flee, right? Or you can cast out or cast down, which is where we ultimately trying to get to. And so we're going to get into the definition of that word and understand the positive and the negative side of temptation, right? Because there is a temptation or a trial that comes from the Most High, and there is a temptation or a trial that comes from your own flesh, right? That will arise from your members, right? With everything that you've experienced through your lifetime, everything that you watched, listened to, right? The people that you hung out with, relationships that you had, right? All of these things that you consume all the way up to the point where you get delivered by the Most High, when He reveals Himself to you, right? And He sets you on the right path, the path of righteousness, and starts to break those bonds. There are still things within your flesh. A lot of times there's things that are concealed deep down because of trauma that we've gone through, right? And those traumas over time, if not dealt with, they get masked as insecurities, right? Insecurities or fears, anxieties, things like that. Whenever you see these things arise within you, there's something deeper that you need to be delivered from. But only Yah can wash us and clean us and truly purge us from those things that have us bound, right? So I say all that just to say that when we talk about temptation, there is a wicked temptation. But that wicked temptation cannot bind you unless you allow it, right? Hasatan has no control over you unless you give him control, right? Your enemy has no control over you unless you give it control. Your flesh has no control over you unless you give it control, right? When the Most High brought this lesson to me, right? I'll give a quick testimony, and we're gonna get into it. But this is all a part of the lesson. Hallelujah. I went to it was kind of like a family reunion, but it was a get together for me and my family on my dad's side. We got together a couple weeks ago, right? And I saw my cousins, my aunties, uncles, man, people I ain't seen in a long time. Like most of my uncles and aunties, I haven't seen them since I was a teenager, right? Because everybody was moving, I was in the military, I was gone, stuff like that, right? So my dad told me, he was like, look, man, I want you to come because, man, it's a lot of people who asking about you. They ain't seen you in so long. They miss you. So I told him, I was like, all right, I'll come. So when I came, I kid you not, right? I'm exposed myself because this is something that the Most High is dealing with me on. This is where this lesson came from. When I came and I started walking up to people, nobody recognized me. Nobody recognized me, right? Mark, do you know why nobody recognized me? You probably know. That's why I'm asking you. Why did nobody recognize me?
Is it because you don't look the same?
I don't look the same. That's true. That's true. I ain't gonna put you on the spot. All right. It's because of my weight. It's because of my weight. But remember, I told y'all I ain't seen these people since I was a teenager. How much did I weigh when I was a teenager?
$1.25, if that. You were very thin.
Man, like $1.15. When I got out the military,
$1.25. Hallelujah.
when I got out the military, I was 125. I remember Chantel, man, she thought when I went to the to boot camp, man, she thought I was gonna come out all swole. She was like, man, you gonna be going for 13 weeks. You in the Marine Corps, you at boot camp, and you gonna come out, you gonna be diesel. And I thought the same thing, but I lost weight. I lost weight going to boot camp.
He looked like he was malnutrition, and then nobody was feeding him.
I lost weight. Man, they had me on man, I'm going too deep, but they had me on something that you call double racks, right? Which means that when you go to the chow hall, they give you twice as much food as they do everybody else, right? Because they don't want you to get sick and die, right? Just in case you're anemic or something like that. Say all that just to say, when I saw everybody, these people I hadn't even seen before I went into the Marine Corps, right? So we talking about 10 plus years. I ain't seen them. So when I walked up and I saw everybody, they didn't even know who I was. They didn't know me, right? And so nobody said it. Well, a couple people did. You know, you got a couple honest people in the family. They were like, hey, man, you eating good, man. You looking healthy, right? And I was like, hey, I had to take that. I had to eat it. You know what I'm saying? Because I've been getting out of control. But I say all that just to say that the reason why I've been getting out of control is because I have been allowing my flesh to control me. Right? So even there are times when I might not be hungry and I still eat because I got a craving or a desire. Right? I'm not hungry. I'm sitting there, man. I'm just chilling. I know I'm not hungry. Stomach ain't growling, nothing, but I got a desire or a craving to eat something, then I go get it. Right? So when the Most High brought this lesson to me, the one thing that came into my mind was like, man, my flesh is dictating how I move and how I operate. And if the Most High opened my eyes to reveal that this thing was happening when it comes to food, what else is going on? Right? How many other ways am I being impacted by my flesh? And so when it came down to it, I was like, man, I got to get myself back under control. Right? And the only way that I can do it is through the Most High. So when he opened my eyes to that, I said, y'all lead me and guide me, give me instruction on what to do. I'm going to do it. We're going to get this weight off. Not because I want to be thin, I want to have a six pack, whatever. This weight is going to come off because I'm going to put my flesh back into subjection, which means that when my flesh craves or desires something that it doesn't need, I'm going to tell it no. All right? And this is the power that the Most High puts within us as long as we're walking in righteousness. As long as we're walking in righteousness, we have that authority to do it. All right? He will open your eyes to things that are causing you to be dysfunctional, and then he will give you instruction on how to be functional, right? On how to get yourself back in order. Because when we talk about just eating food, of course, I eat according to Leviticus 11, right? So there was no transgression in that, right? It wasn't no sin in anything that I was doing when we talk about the letter of the law. But if I continue to allow my flesh to lead me and guide me when it comes to just me having a craving for some food, eventually what? I'm going to eat to the point where I can't function properly to do the Most High's will. And so everything that I'm about to do to get this weight off is not it ain't so I can, put that tank top on and walk around the house. You know what I'm saying? I ain't been able to wear one of those in a long time, right? It ain't so I can do any of that, right? It ain't so I can fit in them jeans that, I done had for like 10 years that I ain't been able to fit. And I said, man, I'm gonna lose this weight so I can get back in them size 36, jeans and all that. Nah, it ain't about that, right? I'm gonna get myself back in order so I can do what Yah commands me to do, and I can do it. I can do it to my full strength, right? 100%. And so when it comes to this lesson, understand that the Most High will put His word in you. All right, we're gonna get to it. I promise. Y'all gonna see it. The Most High will put His word in you, just like He did me when it came to this this food. Right? He's gonna put His word in you, but it's not gonna be soon after that word is tried. All right, and He will allow that word to be tried. And the reason why He allows that word to be tried is because He's trying to prove you. Right? He's trying to prove you, and He's trying to build you up. Right? He's trying to build you up, a stronger vessel to follow Him. So He's going to put His word in you, and He's going to give you an opportunity to stand on that word. And through you standing on that word, He's going to make you a more sure vessel, fit for the Master's use. Right? Because there will come a time where the battle might get harder. You're just dealing with small cravings, but there might be a time, and we're going to get to it. It might be a time where you in a situation like Daniel. Right? Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, where somebody tries to give you something unclean. They try to feed you something, and they try to mask that thing to make it seem like it was for royalty, right? But Daniel and the rest of them brews, man, they saw for what it was. This is not something that we should consume. All right, we're gonna read it. And so they said, hey, look, put us to the test. Let us eat this clean food. Y'all continue to eat the food that y'all eating. And after 10 days, y'all gonna see that what? Man, we're stronger. Right? We're more vibrant, more prepared. And so this is what we have to get our mindset should be that at all times. But we're gonna break this down just so we get a clear understanding that, man, with the word that the Most High has put in you, He's gonna continue to try that word. He's going to continue to try the word that's in you in order to perfect you. Right? And if you fall, if you don't walk in what He put in you, then understand that there is another word that is also tempting you, and that word is evil. And that's when we have to go to the Most High. We have to repent, ask for instruction so that He can deliver us. Right? We're gonna break it down. Okay. Anybody got anything before we pray and we get it started? Anything at all?
Just a quick question. Somebody reached out to me on Skype. Her name is Dana, and she is in Georgia looking for a Torah-based group. And I thought I'd ask the Morehs and Morehs of this group if they know of any in Georgia that is true. That's a true group that's actually speaking truth. And that she can actually attend, because she said it's hard to find one.
Yeah, I remember Dana. I remember her. A lot of people, I don't know if Moreh Rick does, but she actually reached out to us like way back in like 2020. It may be. It was like 2019. She reached out. I actually have her information. I don't know of a ministry that's in Georgia. And at the time, I told her the same thing, and I told her, she could always just get online with us, but she said she wanted the fellowship, in person. So I understood that, and then that's where our communication ended. But yeah, I don't know of anybody in Georgia. But I'll keep my ear to the ground. I got a couple fellowships that I done seen on the tube that I look at that minister. I'll just see where they're located. I don't think any of them are in Georgia, but You know what I'm saying? We'll check it out. If I can help, I will. But we'll pray for it for sure. Keep it lifted up. All right. Anything else? Thank you, Emo. All right. All right, y'all. We're gonna pray in 1 Corinthians 1:10, and we're gonna get to it. All right. Okay. All right, let us pray, family. Abba, Yah, we thank you. Abba, we thank you for your love. Thank you for your compassion, your grace, your mercy. We just thank you right now for being the Elohim of Elohims. You are the Aleph and the Tav, the beginning from the ending. We just give you all praise, honor, and glory, for it is you who called us back into covenant. It is you who opened our eyes to truth, which is your word, which is our King, your only begotten Son, Yahushua HaMashiach. And so we just thank you, Abba. We thank you for keeping your word. We thank you for standing sure so that we will always have a word to come back to. And so, Father, we just pray right now that you would increase our faith right now, that you would increase our wisdom, our understanding, our knowledge as we go through your word right now. Let all questions be asked and answered. Reveal to us what it is that you have for us in this time so that we can do your works in righteousness right now. Abba, we just pray right now that you will forgive us for any transgression that we have walked in, any iniquity that we are walking in currently, any thoughts of perversion right now, anything that is against you. Abba, we just ask that you will forgive us, but we ask that you would bring your correction. We ask that you would continue to put your word in us, to wash us, to clean us out, so that we could be a perfect vessel fit for your use right now, Abba. We just ask right now that you would make us a sure thing before your eyes, something that is a sweet aroma to your nostrils, that's pleasing in your eyesight, like your only begotten Son, our King right now. We thank you for the blood that was shed. We thank you for the blood, the sacrifice that was made, the punishment that was endured, the word that came even before the punishment right now. We just thank you for it because it has given us an opportunity to come back into the fold, to bear fruit of righteousness right now. We just thank you, Abba. We thank you. We thank you because you first loved us. You first loved us, and you have called us into obedience right now. We pray for those who had a heart to be on and could not. We pray that this word would reach them wherever they are. We pray right now for the ones who are on, that you would create an atmosphere fit for you to dwell wherever we are right now. Let your spirit fill every place, every household, every car, every park, wherever we are. Let your presence be there. Let your presence be around. Fill us up with your spirit. Give us an increase in what we need so that we can be edified this day. Abba, we just pray right now that you would bless this word, that you would bless the hearts and minds. You would bless even my mouth. Let us all decrease and let you increase within all of us right now. Let nothing come out of my mouth that is not like you. Let nothing come out of my mouth that is against your word right now. Let your spirit dwell. Let your spirit come forth and let your spirit edify. Abba, we just thank you. We love you. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach, we pray. Amen. Hallelujah. All right. 1 Corinthians 1:10. Now I beseech you, brethren, by the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that ye all speak the same thing, and that there be no divisions among you, but that ye be perfectly joined together in the same mind and in the same judgment. Hallelujah. All right, family, let's go to Judges. Let's go to Judges 2. We'll hit that first. We're gonna establish this definition of the word proven, right? Or tempted. And I'm gonna give y'all the Hebrew understanding of it. Man, it's so much in it, and so we're gonna build on it in the upcoming weeks. Next week I'm free. I already made sure my schedule was open. The Most High made a way. We're gonna build on this because I really want to get this done. I don't want to delay when it comes to this one, because he's getting us ready. He's getting us ready, right? He's getting us ready for what's to come. He's preparing us so that we can prepare our children. Man, we got to be attentive to his word more now than ever. I'm telling you, so many things going on around us. The wickedness is just, man, it's at an all-time high. It's just crazy, right? I used to think it was social media, right? I was like, because we got social media, that's why we see more wickedness going on, right? Because we got more access to it. But I'm telling you, man, that stuff will find you even if you ain't looking for it. It's just crazy things going on, and people just they are being controlled or led by their flesh, right? We talk about, you know, spirits and principalities in high places, and we know ultimately that's where the war is. But just like I said at the beginning of this lesson, and I want you to hear me, family, spirits and principalities in high places, right? These wicked spirits and principalities in high places have no control over you if you have control over your flesh. The only way to have control over your flesh is if Christ is in you. That's the only way. That's the only way to have full control over your flesh, right? Everybody can control themselves in certain ways. You know, it's certain things that you can abstain from doing. But this flesh is the flesh. It's always going to be something that you desire. And if you had access to it, you would get it in abundance and it would destroy you, right? If you didn't have Christ. And so I just want us to understand that the war is against the wickedness in high places, but it has no dominion over you if Christ is in you. Because if Christ is in you, he's going to instruct you and give you the power and authority to bring this flesh under subjection. And that's important in all aspects of your life, right? We talk about a simple one when it comes to diet and things like that, which is temperance. That's what I was lacking, right? Self-control. But like I said, if one characteristic of that fruit is being affected, it's affecting other things as well. Right? You just don't see the domino effect until the Most High reveals it to you. But trust me, it's happening. All right. All right, Judges 2. We're gonna start it from verse 16, and we're gonna get this definition. All right. Judges chapter 2. When we get there, this is the Most High, right, declaring to the people. Because remember, they went in, they took the land. They were led by Joshua, right? They were led by Joshua. Went in, took the land. Joshua, he passed, right? He died. He went and slept with his fathers. But before he did that, what did he tell them? He said, "Man, I know y'all are gonna do wicked." He said, "I know y'all are gonna do wicked." He admonished them, right? Just like Moses did before he gave up the ghost, right? He admonished them and told them, "Look, the Most High is giving you this land. He's giving you his word. He set you up to be a mighty nation. All you got to do is just walk right." Right? And he gave them all the instruction that they needed. And then before he passed, he said, "But I know you ain't going to do it." Right? I know you ain't going to do it. Does anybody remember why? Or does anybody remember how he knew this? What did he say? What did he tell them when it came to knowing that they were gonna walk unrighteously? Does anybody know or remember? Y'all got it. He said, "Man, because your heart, right? Your heart is far from me." He said, "Your heart is far from me." Right? Or Joshua said, he said, "Your heart is far from the Lord." Right? It ain't in you to do right. You desire to do wickedness. The only reason why, or the only thing that kept them walking straight was Joshua. So he already knew, man, once I'm out of here, I already know y'all gonna stray off the path. And what did the people say? They said, "No, we're gonna do right. We're gonna do right. Right? We swear it. We vow it." And then he said, "What? Heaven and earth bear witness this day that y'all gonna go off because it's not in you." Right? And sure enough, when Joshua passed, what happened? People went off. Right? They started worshiping false idols. uh, started worshiping these gods, right? Passing their children through the fire and all this stuff like that, right? They sought the ways of these other nations, even though they were mightier, right? Even though they had the Most High. But what caused them to lead the Most High and desire these other nations, right? A wicked heart, the Most High not being in them, right? And so because the Most High was not in them, it was only a matter of time that, before they went off, because there was nobody that they could see that was going to judge them or hold them accountable, right? And so that brings us all the way to Judges, where we are now. When you look at Judges, understand that, man, every time the people went off, what the Most High would do is raise up a judge, put his word in them, and then they would deliver the people. And then the people would do right for a time as long as that judge was alive. And then when that judge died, what happened? They just went back to being wicked because they were in their hearts, they were unrighteous. All right. We got brews like that today. The only reason why they do right is because or the only reason why they appear to do right when they're in front of you is because they know you're gonna hold them accountable when you stand. Right? I pray none of us are just perpetrating, putting on. But these are the things that was going on back then, same things happening today. So I say all that to say when we get to Judges 2, I want us to look at what the Most High is going to declare, because remember, he was gonna deliver them from the nations in the book of Joshua, all the way from Exodus through Deuteronomy. He said, when you go in, you're gonna destroy all these nations, right? And you're gonna be a peculiar treasure. And all other nations that are far away, when they come to you, they're gonna bow down to you because of me, right? Talking about the Most High. But the people didn't do that, right? They kept these nations alive. And so when Joshua passed away, they started to look up to these other nations and follow. Now look at what the Most High says here. We're starting at verse 16, right? Judges 2:16. It says, nevertheless, the Lord raised up judges, which delivered them out of the hand of those that spoiled them. And yet they would not hearken unto their judges, but they went a whoring after other gods and bowed themselves unto them. They turned quickly out of the way, which their fathers walked in, obeying the commandments of the Lord, but they did not so. And when the Lord raised them up judges, then the Lord was with the judge and delivered them out of the hand of their enemies all the days of the judge. For it repented the Lord because of their groanings by reason of them that oppressed them and vexed them. And it came to pass, when the judge was dead, that they returned and corrupted themselves more than their fathers, and following other gods to serve them and to bow down unto them. They ceased not from their own doings, nor from their stubborn ways. All right. 20. It says, and the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he said, because that this people have transgressed my covenant, which I commanded their fathers, and have not hearkened unto my voice, I also will not henceforth drive out any from before them of the nations which Joshua left when he died, that through them I may prove Israel, whether they keep the way of the Lord to walk therein, as their fathers did keep it, or not. Therefore the Lord left those nations without driving them out hastily, neither delivering he them into the hand of Joshua. All right. So remember, they were supposed to go in, destroy all these nations, but because of their wicked heart, and because the Most High understood, or he saw and discerned that, man, they don't even want to be with me. They don't want a relationship with me. Even though I'm with them and I've delivered them and protected them and kept them, right? They don't want a relationship with me. Right? As soon as they feel like no one's looking, right? They start doing wickedness. Right? They start seeking unrighteousness. And then they get caught up, and then when they need to be delivered, that's when they cry out to me. So he said, you know what? He's like, scratch that. I'm not going to raise up any judges to destroy the nations completely. I'm going to leave them, right? Because we know through the book of Judges, he was still delivering the people whenever they were in bondage. But he says, I'm not going to drive out all the nations. They're going to stay there, and they're going to be what? A test. They're going to be there to prove what? Who is for me and who ain't. And so because the Most High had put his word in all of the children of Israel, because they all understood what he required, he was like, I'm going to leave these nations there. Because everybody knows what they should do that's right in my eyes. And so for a person to stray off and to worship idols, right? To do wickedness, to sacrifice to these wicked gods, these deities, right? He was like, that's a person who never desired to follow me in the first place. And that person will be cut off, right? Before we took the land, or as we were going to the land of promise to conquer it, he was going to remove all the nations. The reason being is because by the time we got there, we were supposed to be already 100% obedient to him through everything that he had done and showed us. Through all the works and the miracles and everything that he had showed us that we seen with our eyes, right? That manna falling from heaven each day that kept us fed. By the time we got to the land, man, we should have been gung-ho to drive these nations out. Why? Because, man, we want to represent Yah and walk in obedience to his word. All right? That was the whole plan. The whole plan was for him to show us how mighty he is. That he is our Elohim. He's our Abba. He's our Father. He loves us. Right? And that he'll keep us and protect us. And so he tempted us through the wilderness, right? Which we'll get to. He tempted us through the wilderness to prove us then, so that when we got to the land of promise, man, there would be no question of who we should follow and what we should follow. Right? But the people's heart was far from him. So he said he'll lead the nations there. And the purpose of him leaving these nations there is to prove, right? Same thing today, family. Once we get into this definition, we're going to break it down. But it's the same thing happening today. There are other things surrounding you, right? Other things that the Most High is allowing you to see, to be amongst, right? And it is to prove the word that's in you. It ain't to draw you off. The Most High is not trying to put something in front of you. He ain't telling you, giving you a word, telling you to go to the strip club and pray over the strippers, right? He ain't telling you to do nothing crazy like that. He ain't telling you to do anything that is wicked, because the Most High is not going to tempt you with evil, right? But with the word that's in you, he will allow you to walk among certain things in order to prove you, in order to build you up, right? Let me get my screen pulled up and we'll get this definition. The Strong's number is going to be H5254, right? I sent this out last Thursday, right? And gave a little word with it, just so we understand what it is. We don't break it down though. Hallelujah. All right. Y'all should be able to see it prayerfully. Somebody Roger up. You can put it in the chat or speak out. Can y'all see it? I want to make sure. Is it big enough?
Yes, sir.
All right. Hold up. I gotta go up. Give me a second. All right. So the Strong's number is going to be H. It's going to be H5254. H5254, and the word is Nasah. All right.
Strong's H5254. Nasah.
All right. The word is Nasah. Now let's take a look at this. All right. So you look at the definitions, right? It says to test. Hold on. I'm sorry. Yeah. All right. It says to test, try, prove, tempt, say, put to the proof, or test, to attempt, right? Same thing. And then you go to the actual Strong's definition, right? It says to test by implication, to attempt, adventure, assay, prove, attempt, try. All right. So it is to try you. When you see this word, right? It is somebody who is being tried. They're being proven, right? Tested. It has we see this a lot. One of the notable things that we used to use this word for, that you'll see it used for in the scriptures, is when it comes to like armor, right? We would test or prove armor. People still do it today, but it's just in a different likeness. When you're dealing with a weapon, whether it be a gun or whatever, you're going to test it and prove it, meaning you're going to make sure it works properly before you go to battle or you go to war if you're in the military, right? You test and prove everything, right? Whenever we used to go out on a field mission, when I was in artillery, right? Before we went out to the field, even though it was just practice, right? And we weren't going to actual war, we were supposed to simulate, right? It was a simulation of what would happen if we did have to go to war, right? That's why you go out to the field. You practice, so that when you're in the real situation and you know, bullets start flying down range, you don't panic or go crazy because you know what to do. You're trained, right? But before you go out to the field, the one thing we would have to do is a gear check, right? You would have to make sure you have all of your gear, number one, and then number two, you would have to check everything, including your weapon, your M16 or your M4, whatever you had, to make sure that it was functional, right? Because if that thing is not functional when you get to war, it doesn't matter. It's not going to be of any use to you. So we would have to stand back in the rear before we went out to the field and prove our gear. We would have to test it all out to make sure it's going to be functional, so that when we go to the battle, we have no doubt in our mind that our equipment is going to work and it's going to work properly. All right. Go ahead, Moreh. What you got?
Hey, stay on your same point, what you're saying, but I just want to plug this. How would this correlate with all the little trials you go through in your life?
Right. Right. So
would you say that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. And man, we're gonna draw that connection, because this is what the Most High does when He puts His word in you, right? That is our gear, right? It's our armor, right? It is our clothing when He dresses us, when He delivers you and He dresses you. That is your gear. Whenever you're about to do something, this is why we talk about, man, examining yourself every day. Even the scriptures tell you, man, examine yourself to see whether you're of the faith or not, right? Every day you have to examine yourself, and you should be praying to the Most High that what? He guides your footsteps, and that you are equipped to deal with every situation. Because believe it or not, when you come, when you face a trial or when there's opposition, the Most High has already prepared you. The only thing that gets you out of pocket is what? You not thinking on Him, right? And giving yourself over to the flesh so that you get out of pocket. Right? Somebody say something negative to you, and your first thought is to get angry, even though you know what the Most High's word says, right? Be angry and sin not. But it's your first thought, and when that word comes to you saying, nah, you know you need to chill, that person just say a little bit too much, and now you got to get them right. Right? You got to set them straight. And so when it comes to the things that we're dealing with, even today, man, the Most High is already preparing us if we believe and are following Him, right? I want to make that clear. The Most High is already preparing you for every trial that you're going to face. What does His word say? I'm not going to put more on you than you can what? Bear. I'm not going to put more on your shoulders than you can carry. So if I'm not going to put more on you more on your shoulders than you can carry, then that means whatever it is that you're burdened by, I've already provided the provision. I've already given you strength. You already have it in you in order to deal with this situation. All you got to do is what? Look towards me. Believe in me. Right? So that He can give you instruction on how to do it. Go ahead, Iman.
I think that's really good that this analogy that you're putting together, especially talking about the military and how you had to put on your gear and you had to prove that everything worked and that you would have what you needed when you got to the battle, even your gun or whatever it is, you had to make sure you were fully armored, fully suited, as the word tells us. But when Moreh said, well, how does this work when it comes to a trial? We're actually, just like the Most High's proven us, we're proving him, because we're also supposed to be standing on his word. So we can call back to him the words that he gave to us in his scripture when it comes to a trial that we're going to, and one to strengthen us, and to one call him into, it's almost like calling the captain into battle. Like, you know what? You need to lead me into this battle. I'm calling you onto battle because of your word, what your word says. So now I know you're going to go before me. So now I'm proving my gear. I'm proving that what I put on works for me by leaning on this word and leaning on him.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful, beautiful, and
Hallelujah. That was good.
yeah, that's beautiful. And I wanna land back off of what you said, Imam, because when you said proving him, like, this is the beautiful thing about it, right? Because, and we're gonna break it down, because I get exactly what you mean, right, when you say it, but I'm gonna expound on it, right? When you say proving him, there's people out there who literally try to test God, right? They try to prove the Most High, and we're gonna get to the scriptures when it comes to proving the Most High. He don't take too kindly to that, because, right, a person who's trying to prove him, that means that, first of all, you don't recognize who you're dealing with. That's number one, right? It's like a child and trying to check their parent on something, right? When I brought you into the world, so that's crazy. Number one, right? And then number two, you have no faith and belief in me, right? So you got a lot of people, and then I'm gonna expound on what Ema was talking about. But you got a lot of people who will try to tempt the Most High, right? And so when the Most High delivers them from something, he delivers you from promiscuity, right? I think that's how you pronounce it, right? Lust. And then you get a desire to go to the strip club, and then you say, man, I know I'm not supposed to go, man. I know it's wicked. And you know what? Then I'm gonna drive down there, and God, if you don't want me to do it, you're gonna let me know. Huh? He already told you he don't want you to do it. It's something you already been delivered from. The reason why you even thinking that, why you saying, man, I'm gonna just go and then God, because you already convicted in your heart. But what you trying to do? Man, you trying to fulfill the desire of your flesh. And you gonna tempt the Most High to do it. So when nothing happened and you get there, guess who you blame for you walking in the sin? Oh, well, God ain't do nothing, right? Matter of fact, I hit every green light on the way there, so I must be good. Come on, man, right? We can't play these type of games with the Most High. He don't take too kindly to that. But what we do, and what Ema was talking about, is when she says prove the Most High, because we are a walking testimony. When we stand sure, we are we are proven before the world. We're proven before everybody else who watches us. This is why it's so important to pass the test, right? This is why it's so important to allow the Most High to prepare you and give you instruction and to build you up, so when the trial actually comes outwardly, you can pass the test. You never know who's looking, right? When you are proven, when you stand sure, man, it's contagious, right? You can give somebody else faith. You can give somebody else hope. Somebody else can get peace based off of you passing the trial or making it through, standing on the Most High's word, right? Somebody can get delivered. I've seen it by seeing you walk upright, right? And so I want us to, man, it's so beautiful what y'all bringing out. And this is exactly what the Most High is doing with us today, right? He's already given us our weapons of warfare, right? To fight against these spiritual principalities in high places. So when they whisper in your ear, you already have what you need to cast those thoughts out. You already have the tools that you need to flee. right? You already have everything that you need to pray. He's already put his word in you, so you already know, right? When that thought comes, that negative thought is already a righteous thought in the holster to deliver you. It just comes down to what? Whom you obey. And whom you obey is who you are. Say it again. Whom you obey is who you are. It's who you belong to. Whoever is in control of your members, they control you. That's who you are a servant to. That's who you will be obedient to. Right? So we got to get ourselves under control. The Most High is doing that, man, and he's been so gracious and merciful. But for all of us, understand that there is a expectation. This is what we talk about when we talk about Pentecost, right? There is an expectation that we are supposed to come to. Sorry, I worked out all this week, and my back is howling right now. Y'all forgive me if y'all see me doing some weird stuff over here. All right, I digress. But this is what's so beautiful about Pentecost is that from Pesach to Pentecost, he's already preparing you and building you up. Right. This is what and we're gonna get to it. But when it comes to Hamashiach and the disciples, remember he told them to wait, right, until Pentecost, and then he said what? He said, then I'll come unto you, and that's when we seen them receive the Spirit, right? Those cloven tongues that allowed them to preach the word, right? Not everybody made it because it was a lot of people who lacked faith in Hamashiach and who fell away. So they didn't make it from Passover to Pentecost. Hallelujah, that not all of them or a lot of them weren't destroyed, and so they were able to receive the Spirit when Shavuot came. But it was some people who didn't, right? And they walked away from the king. But let's not get too far off. Where do we stop off at? All right, so Judges 2, we're looking at the definition right now, right? It's going to be the test to try to prove. Now let's look at the Hebrew. All right, where's my alphabet? All right, so in the Hebrew, man, this is beautiful. This is beautiful. All right, in the Hebrew, it's going to be Nun, Samek, Hey. Nun, Samek, Hey. All right, that is the Hebrew. Hold on, y'all. Let me get this off the screen. All right, Nun, Samek, Hey. Now the Nun is a picture of a seed, right? And it is it means to continue, air, sun, manifest, sperm, right? So Nun is the seed. Y'all follow me? All right, the Samek. The Samek is the picture of a thorn. And it means to hold, protect, to prop, right? Or support. All right. And then you have the hay, right? And the hay is the picture of a man with his arms raised. We're all familiar with that one, I believe. That's one of the more popular ones, right? And the meaning of the word of the letter hay is window, look, reveal, breath, or sigh. Right? So this word nasa is Nun Samek Hay. And I'm gonna give y'all the root because the root of this word is just Nun Samek. Right? We're gonna remove the hay for right now, and then we're gonna see it, man. It's beautiful. So the root of this word, to prove or to tempt, to try, right? It's gonna be Nun Samek. The illustration is the picture of a seed representing continuance, right? The thorn is the you got the picture of a seed, then you have the picture of the thorn, which represents the idea of grabbing hold, right? So you have the seed that is grabbing hold, right? Combine these means continue to grab hold, the tribal flag that is hung from a horizontal pole and lifted up high and seen from a distance. So the root of this word Nasal is a person it is a seed that is holding on, or a seed that is protected or supported, right? Propped up, right? It is a seed that is a standard or a flag, right? It is a sign for, it's a sign for refuge, right? Or a sign for support. Man, hallelujah. Man, I wish we had more time. All right. But I want y'all to follow me. We're gonna get there. All right. So we got the seed representing continuance, the thorn representing grabbing hold. So the root of this word nasal is to grab hold. It is a seed grabbing hold. Now, when you add the hay, right? That's where we come in. The word nasal is gonna separate those, or how should I word this? When you add the hay, the illustration is a division, right? It's going to magnify and show you where it is or who it is that everybody's looking to, right? So when you look at a person that's proven or tempted or tried, they can tell you all day long that they follow the same laws, statutes, and commandments. They can tell you all day long to keep the feast days. They can have on zizis. They the females can have on dresses, head coverings, the whole nine. Man, they know a couple of Hebrew words. Man, they just it's beautiful, right, outwardly. But when the trial comes, the trial is going to show you who they grab hold of. It's going to show you who they reverence, who they lift up holy hands to, right? Who leads and guides them. Y'all get what I'm saying? It's gonna show you it's gonna show you what manner of life they live. When a person is tempted, it's gonna cause a division. Now let's go back to what we just read. This is why it's so beautiful. All right, look how long we're taking. This is why I said we weren't gonna get through it. We still on we still on Judges. All right, but I want y'all to see this, man. This is so lovely. All right. And this is what Christ came to do. All right, this is what he came to do. In so many words, the Pharisees and Sadducees, they couldn't understand it, but this is why he spoke in parables. Right? This is why Christ told them, you think I came to bring peace, but I came to bring what? A sword. Right? I came to set a household against itself, right? I came to divide those who are going to follow me and those who aren't. All right? We're gonna get there. Let's look at this. We're gonna start from we in Judges 2 still. Let's just run it from 22. Look at this. It says that through them, we'll start from 20. All right, it says, and the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he said, because that this people have transgressed my covenant, which I commanded their fathers, and have not hearkened unto my voice, I also will not henceforth drive out any from before them of the nations which Joshua left when he died, that through them, through the other nations. So this is where people get confused, because they be like, man, the Most High, he using these wicked nations in order to lead the people astray? No, because the people don't have to go astray. They already have the word. It's in them. They're already prepared for the battle. They were supposed to wipe these nations out, but they took it upon themselves, or they decided not to because they desired them more. So the Most High said, you know what? I'm going to lead them there, and I will use them to what? Separate. I will use them to cause a division. Let's keep going. So it says, verse 22 from the top, it says that through them I may prove Israel whether they will keep the way of the Lord to walk therein as their fathers did keep it or not. Therefore the Lord left these nations without driving them out hastily, neither delivered he them into the hand of Joshua. So he left them there. So not only because he already knows, man, he knows the heart of man. It was to prove who was going to be obedient, who was going to seek after him, who really had a heart to desire him, beyond all the talking and showing off. Man, there's a lot of people right now that's just talking that talk. But if everything was to go down right now, if they was to shut down the supermarkets, right? If they was to take away your house and you had to live on the street based on you following Hamashiach, right? If they threatened to throw you in jail, you would have so many brews that you would just think, man, they were just so righteous. And hey, that Hebrew, that Shebrew, man, they was just, man, they was 10 toes. But it took 2 days of their stomach growling. They was just like, look, man, hey, I'm gonna go over there, man, just see what they talk about, man. I'll let y'all know. It's coming to that. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen. They gonna start to deceive themselves. That's what the words say. They're gonna be like, hey, look, man, one of us gotta be on the inside, man. We can bring them down from within. One of us gotta go in there, man, so we can create change, man. Then I'll stand on my shot once I get up in there, then I'll come back for y'all. They ain't coming back. They ain't coming back. They're gonna follow and be given over by their flesh because they never really had a heart to follow Hamashiach. Right? They had all the provision that they could ask for, and that's the only reason why they believed in him. And they never even they never sought him out and asked him to prepare him. They never really leaned on him. Right? They never really had faith in him. They just played the part. So when the trial really comes, they fall. Right? This is what the Most High does. This is what he does. This is what he will continue to do with us. When he gives you his word, that word is going to be tried. It's going to be tried. And when he tries his word, it's for your good. The judgment that he just cast on a nation right now was for their good. He was trying to let them know, look, if you just follow me, I got you. You're going to be protected. He didn't say he wouldn't drive them out at all. He said, I'm not going to drive them out in haste like I was before. All you got to do is walk in obedience. But if you desire to be amongst these other nations and to serve their gods, then go ahead with it. Right? And you'll bear the same punishment that they bear. So he's doing the same thing with us today. He's proving you or putting his word that's in you to the test for your good. If you walk in it, then you get closer to him. All right. This is why when we went over that word samek, right? That word samek, to hold, protect, it means to prop up or support. To be tempted and to pass the test, to make it through the trial, actually brings you closer. It lifts you up higher to him. All right. The more you walk in obedience to his word, the less. See if I can word this the right way. The things that bothered you before that would easily get you out of pocket, those things they won't affect you as much. When you make it through the trial and he brings you closer to him, man, certain things that used to just get you aggy, get you frustrated, those things no longer bother you because now what? You're starting to walk more in his spirit. And so the standard that you are, or the characteristics and the image that you display is more like him. So you're more patient, you're more meek, right? You got more faith in him. You can stand sure on his word. You're not easily shaken or moved when you make it through trial. All right, when you make it through. These things don't bother you. So this is what the Most High is trying to do for us, and He is doing through us right now. We just have to allow Him to do it, and then be mindful of the word that He puts in you. We all know when the Most High reveals something to you, man, you get so excited and you just like, oh, man, it's so beautiful, right? The Most High showed me something. He revealed something to me. But understand that's a blessing, right? That He opened your eyes to something and gave you an increase in wisdom and in knowledge, right? So that you can edify others. But understand that word that He just put in you, He's gonna put to the test. He's gonna put to the test, and He's gonna put it to the test so that He can draw you closer to Him. Right? This is why Hamashiach, man, he had to come in the flesh. We're gonna get to him next week, but Hamashiach had to come in the flesh, right? It says that what, man, He was tempted just as we were. He bared the same he was led or the same temptations or transgressions and things were revealed to Him too, and He conquered them to show us that it's possible. Man, if Hamashiach hadn't to come, man, we got every excuse in the book right now. Imagine if Hamashiach ain't come. Oh my God, we'd be like, man, we ain't got no chance. And I mean, we know we literally wouldn't have a chance, but I mean, like, that example hadn't been shown. If He had just came down, went to the cross, died, and was resurrected without walking it first, man, we would have been like, man, nobody could be like Him, right? Nobody could walk in that likeness. Nobody could follow that path, but He showed us how to walk it, right? He showed us how to walk it. He showed us how to put this flesh under subjection. He showed us what it is and what it looks like to walk according to the Spirit. And then those who truly had a heart to follow Him, right, and to walk in righteousness, His true disciples, they walk and follow Him afterwards, right? And so we saw Peter, we saw James and John, we saw Shaul or Paul, right, walking in righteousness according to the word that was in them, man. They were able to overcome. It wasn't always the case, but the Most High continued to bring them as they got through. They grew closer to Him to the point where, man, there was no doubt in their mind that He is who He says He is, and they were going to walk in obedience no matter what. That's what we're trying to get. Let's go to Deuteronomy 13. I just want to back up this definition here. All right, so I hope we understand the word itself on base level is gonna be the try, right? It is to try or to prove, to test something. That's why I gave y'all the example of the military testing your gear, making sure that it's functional. This is what Most High does with us, right? Putting His word within us to make us functional, so that we don't walk in dysfunction, which is walking in unrighteousness, right? But it is for us to be conscious of that and to make sure that we're thinking on Him, that we're giving Him praise, that we're praying to Him, that we're asking for guidance, that we're in our word, that we're doing all the things that we need to do in order to represent Him, right? So on this base level, that word is just to try, is to prove, and we're gonna see that as we go throughout this lesson. But I wanted y'all to get that Hebrew illustration because it's so beautiful. It is to lift up. It is to be lifted. It's to be lifted, right? The actual let me get that. When you look at that, I gave y'all the root, but when you look at the actual definition, let me get it real quick. All right, when you look at the word nasal in the Hebrew, the definition of it Hebraically is a test to prove one is deserved. A test to prove one is deserved of being lifted. A test to prove one is deserved of being lifted. That's the Hebraic illustration of it, right? So when you get tempted by the Most High, when that word is tried, it's to see if you deserve to be lifted up, if you're going to walk in obedience or not, right? Genesis 22, and then we're actually going to close out after this. I'm not going to keep y'all long because next week we're going to get into it. Y'all willing, we can start at 8, and we're going to build. Yeah. We're gonna run this here though. Genesis 22. I put this out last week, but I wanted to see it when it comes to Abraham. Abraham went through it, right? A lot of people just they look at Abraham. Yes, he's the father of nations, right? Yes, he was obedient when the Most High told him what we're about to read to offer up his son, his only begotten son, right? The son of promise. We're not gonna discount Ishmael, but Ishmael was a result of disobedience, right? And so out of that disobedience, what do we see? We saw dysfunction. So even though the Most High had to correct that situation, and he did protect Ishmael and Hagar, that situation shouldn't happen. But Abraham was zealous. Really, it was Sarah, because she didn't think it was possible for her to bear a child and give birth, right? You said Deuteronomy. Did I tell y'all to go to Deuteronomy 30? Oh, amen. Oh, hallelujah. Hallelujah. I did tell y'all to go to Deuteronomy. Okay. I was like, Deuteronomy. I was like, brother, where you at, man? Hey, appreciate it, bro. Yeah, I did tell y'all. Let's go to Deuteronomy 13 real quick. We just gonna back up this definition. We're gonna back this up. Let's go. Deuteronomy 13. Hallelujah. That's how excited I be, man. My brain already on to the next. I'm like, man, I really want to find a good stopping point. The next week we're gonna build. We're gonna get into it. But Deuteronomy 13, a precept to this is Deuteronomy 18. Read that when you have time. Right? Deuteronomy 18 is a prophecy concerning Hamashiach, right? Saying that there will be a prophet who will be raised up and who the Most High will put his word in, right? And it says that those who do not follow, or those who do not walk in obedience to the word that he preaches and teaches, it says it will be required of them. But if you looking like the English text, it means that they'll be destroyed. It means that individual is going to be cut off, right? This is why he is the stumbling block. He's the chief cornerstone, right? He's the one that people they trip over, that brick wall, right? These knuckleheads who don't want to believe in Hamashiach, or they want to change his they want to change how magnificent he was, right? They want to destroy his glory, take away his glory. All these people who say Joseph is the daddy, that's what they're doing, right? The whole mindset is to bring Hamashiach down and to make him like you, right? A person who was born out of transgression, because that's what it would have took for him to come forth. They want to bring him down so it gives them an excuse to be wicked, and they can exalt themselves to be like Hamashiach, right? Instead of giving him reverence. Right? And then all these Old Testament only, I mean, they definitely done for it. It's a waste of time even talking to them if they don't want to have a reasonable discussion, because all you got to say is, how do you atone every year? If you don't believe in the New Testament, how do you atone for yourself every year? There's no temple. There's no high priest. How do you atone for your sins every year? Right? That's all you got to say. And when you say that, they're going to tell you some crazy mumbo jumbo. They're going to switch the scriptures. They're going to change it to what? Fit their mindset, to fit their flesh, so that they can walk in wickedness. Right? So they don't have to come to Hamashiach. And these are people who will have no place in the kingdom if they continue under that mindset. All right. Deuteronomy 13. We're going to start at verse 1. It says, if there arise among you a prophet or a dreamer of dreams, and giveth thee a sign or a wonder, and the sign or the wonder come to pass. So I wanted to see, man, y'all thought of everything when he was bringing us into the land, because these people exist, man. There are witches and sorcerers, warlocks. These people are out there, soothsayers, right? Mediums. And if you go to them, they will tell you some things that's true, right? They will tell you some things that'll come to pass. But these things are not rooted in righteousness, right? They're going to tell you, or they're going to, they only have access to earthly things, right? Earthly premonitions and things like that. Because that's all Hasatan does, where he walks to and fro. All these other principalities, right? Seeking whom they may devour. That's who they serve. So they can only give you that information. And imagine going to a soothsayer or a medium, they tell you something, man, that thing come to pass. Now you like, oh man, this must be good. This must be righteous, right? This is why the Most High had to tell them this, because these things can happen. But understand, if they not following me and that word didn't come from me, that's witchcraft, is wicked, and they're going to be destroyed. And if you walk after them, you're going to be destroyed. All right. So he said, a person that brings a sign or a wonder, a dreamer of dreams, right? That includes visions. It says, in the sign or wonder come to pass, verse 2, whereof he spake unto thee, saying, let us go after other gods, which thou hast not known, and let us serve them. Thou shalt not hearken unto the words of the prophet, or that dreamer of dreams. For the Lord your God, what? Proveth you, to know whether ye love the Lord your God with all your heart and with all your soul. So what is he saying? He's saying that there is a chance that when you go into the land, you may encounter these things. There's a chance you may encounter these things now. So I'm putting my word in you, and I'm giving you an understanding of what to do. So if that word comes to pass, right, or if this situation comes up, you already know how to conduct yourself. You already know how to walk in righteousness, right? Notice he didn't say, man, if a person does this, I'm gonna get rid of them. You ain't got to do nothing. You know, just don't worry about it. I got you. No. He gives you the instruction on what? How to walk righteous. And what's the purpose? It is to prove, that's that word in the Psalm, to prove your love towards him. Do you desire him over this wickedness? Right? Over this dreamer of dreams. The person that's just showing you a sign or a wonder. Do you desire me more, knowing that they serve another God? Right? When you come in, when this situation comes upon you, you're going to be put to the test. This word that's in you is going to be put to the test, right? Verse 4, it says, ye shall walk after the Lord your God and keep his commandments and obey his voice, and ye shall serve him and cleave unto him. Remember what I said about that word in Hebrew. What is it? Right? What does that thorn represent? Right? It's to grab hold of. I don't think I brought this out, but the seed, it represents generations, right? It represents a bloodline, right? A family. This is why, man, he puts his word to the test that's in you, to see, man, if you belong to him, to see if you're going to stand short on his word that he's giving you. And if you do, guess what? Man, he's going to draw you closer. You're going to find yourself cleaving to him more and more. Right? Verse 5, it says, and that prophet or that dreamer of dreams shall be put to death, because he has spoken to turn you away from the Lord your God, which brought you out of the land of Egypt, and redeemed you out of the house of bondage, to thrust thee out of the way which the Lord our God commanded thee to walk in. So shalt thou put the evil away from the midst of thee. So this the Most High he's never deceived us, family. He's never deceived us. You're gonna be around evil. We're around wickedness, right? But his word is in you to protect you and cover you. Right? All of these people walking in wickedness, man, they're going to be judged. Their judgment is coming, but it's for you to cleave. Right? Anybody who's walking in wickedness, man, they're whether they realize it or not, man, they're the work that they're doing is to draw you away from Him. It's to take you away from Hamashiach, take you away from His word. All right, all these wicked Hebrews out there, man, just speaking nonsense, man. Creating their own doctrine, saying the word is tampered with, and things like that, man. They'll say some things and you'll hear it and you'll be like, man, yo, that's true. I done heard some of these brothers teach that's wicked, and some of the things that they say, what they're true, but guess what? They're still wicked, and they still going to hell, right? So what should I do? What should be my recourse? And turn away and let the Most High judgment come forth, and let me cleave closer to Him. Right? I bring him up all the time because he's the perfect example. We gonna I'll say this and then we're gonna go to Genesis and we're gonna get ready to close. But Saul is the perfect example of whenever I teach a word, man, for some reason he just comes up because he did everything wrong. Right? He was a person that was changed. Right? He's literally, the scriptures tell you that he received the Spirit and became a new man. He became a new vessel. Right? He was established as king, but he let his own insecurities, his pride, and his ego get the best of him, and he walked in wickedness. And he did wickedness into the people. He caused them to be wicked, and even in his final act, what did he do? Who can tell me? What did Saul do before he died? Who did he seek out?
He saw the witch of Endor.
To get a word. To try to get a word. Right? And the word that came to him, it came to pass. It came to pass. But guess what? Because he went after it, first of all, oh my God, man, it's so much in that. But the conjurer of familiar spirits, that individual should have been dead, and she knew she should have been dead. Right? That's why she didn't even want to fulfill Saul's request at first, because she didn't know he was the king. And she was like, man, if somebody catch me doing this, man, I'm out of here. And then she saw it was Saul. She's like, oh man, the king is asking me to work witchcraft on his behalf. Right? He had to promise her what? Man, no harm is going to come to you if you do this. Like, think about it, man. Think about how far he fell from the time he was anointed king to his last act, his last work. He went to a conjurer of familiar spirits, and instead of fulfilling the word that was in him, he knew it was wrong. That's why he went what? He went covered up with two of his servants so that nobody would know it was him. They would know what he was doing. So he knew it was wrong. Went to that person, and not only did he have that individual conduct witchcraft for him, he said, man, ain't nothing gonna happen to you. I'm not gonna even judge you according to the word. Right? He didn't have a desire for Yah, even though Yah was trying to bring him closer. Constantly trying to prove him, constantly trying to keep him on the right path. Right? First through Samuel, then through David. Still ain't get it. Still didn't get it. It wasn't in his heart. He didn't desire it. All right? Go ahead, Akoti.
I was going to say, it's not that he didn't want Yah. He wanted Yah on his terms. Because when he went to the witch, he went to summon Samuel because he wanted a word from Samuel. So he was still seeking Yah, but he wanted Yah according to his will, his time, his way.
Right.
And I think a lot of us fall into that trap.
No, absolutely. Absolutely. One of the elders that I follow, and he say this all the time, and it's so funny. He was like, man, you try to call God from the devil phone. You trying to reach God through the devil phone, and you think that some good is gonna come from it, right? But you absolutely right, Coach T. He was trying to follow the Most High His way, right? And it led him to destruction. It led him to be destroyed. The word was given to him that he was gonna die, him and his sons, and he still went to war. I want y'all, man. Saul is like, man, you could do a study on Saul. Like these psychiatrists and stuff like that be doing like studies or whatever. Like you could do that with Saul, man, because he was it just wasn't clicking. He had fell so far that even at the end, he reached Samuel to get a word from God. Then Samuel gave him a word, and he still, I mean, I guess you could say he walked according to it, but it was to his own destruction. In his heart, he didn't believe it was going to happen. Go ahead, Iman.
I personally believe he was just walking in a whole lot of pride at the same time, because he knew that he was walking into destruction, but because he was the king and he wanted to save face, he didn't want to say, well, I'm just not going to go to the battle. I'm not going to go to the war like I'm afraid. I'm going to go anyway. And you took with you, like y'all have already, so many times have brought about the word that there's consequences to actions, and not only just for you, you involve other people. Now, you knew your sons were going to die with you, but you would go ahead and go into battle and take them with you instead of being, saying, hey, stay back or whatever. You sacrificed your family for your pride.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And he had no problem doing that. Like when it comes to his family, Saul was just cold. Like I said, he always pops in my mind because he's a true testament of what not to do. All right, I brought this lesson out before. When you research the word reprobate, he is the definition to a T, to the letter. Right. If you want to know what a reprobate mind truly looks like, all you got to do is just read 1 Samuel. Right, you'll see. That's what a reprobate mind looks like. It is having the word of righteousness, but still desiring to do wickedness, no matter what. All right. According to Romans 1, when you pair that up with Romans 1, and you look at Saul, man, it matches up to a T. Right. And so he's a case study, man. He really is. Right. But I say all that just to say that the Most High was proving the word that he had put in him the whole time, right? The whole time, and he didn't have it in his heart. He didn't have a true desire to walk in obedience, and so it led to his destruction, even though he was king over Israel. So it shows us that, man, the Most High, number one, is no respect of persons. Number two, he don't care about your position, your title, what miracles you can bring forth. Man, we're talking about, we read in Deuteronomy 13, he's talking about a dreamer of dreams, a person who can bring forth signs and wonders, who's wicked. We're seeing it. These are people who can do works that we would say are holy or righteous, and they're using it for wickedness. And so what does the Most High say? Man, I will destroy them. Right? He gives gifts without repentance. He will anoint you. He will establish you. He will set you in position. But it's ultimately up to you whether you're going to walk according to his word or disobey. And if you choose to disobey with everything that he's put in you, then you're gonna have your portion in the lake of fire with the unbelievers. Because it's the same thing. Right? You had me as an outer garment, but inwardly you wanted to be like them. And so you get the same reward, right? You get the same judgment. Don't worry about it, family. Everybody's getting a reward at the judgment. Everybody's going to get their little consolation prize. Whether you like it or not is based upon whether you're going to walk in righteousness or not. All right? Let's forego Genesis right? Because I want to run that whole story. I don't want to keep y'all too much longer. Let's go to Daniel 1. Let's go to Daniel 1. That's a hallelujah. He really does love us. And he took the people out of Egypt. He delivered them, showed them all the signs and wonders, destroyed their enemies. He didn't even seek to truly put them to the test until they had made it over the Red Sea or the Reed Sea, right? And it wasn't even really putting them to the test, right? It had been once they got across that water, right, was represented the baptism that represented them being baptized. So they were delivered, then cleansed, and then they received the word, right? We've done a lesson on that too before. But once they got across to the other side, they were celebrating, and they said, man, they went 3 days, no water, and what did they start doing? Murmuring and complaining. The Most High just delivered them. They said, man, he brought us out here to die. That wasn't even him putting them to the test. It was just them just having a heart that wasn't connected to him yet. He understood that, so he gave them water. Right? Brought them to an oasis, then gave instruction on how to make the water sweet so that they can enjoy it. But once he gave them that word on Mount Sinai, once they agreed to follow him and do everything that he commanded, and he would do his part, which he's still upholding to this very day, and they went against him, what do we see happening? Destruction. All right? Destruction. He gave them the commandments. They heard his voice and were so afraid. They said, man, let Moses speak. Moses gone for 40 days, and then they start doing wickedness. But guess what? The word was already in them. They had already heard the law come forth. They knew what it was that they should do and what they shouldn't do. Right? He told them twice out of his own mouth not to worship false idols. They did it anyway, so destruction came. All right? That word was put to the test, and they flopped. So destruction came. What did I say? Daniel 1. Man, hallelujah. Oh, he loves us. Daniel 1 might be a good stopping point. Y'all bear with me. Yeah, we'll do Daniel. The reason why I want to go to Daniel is because I want to show y'all what it looks like when you have a heart to follow him, when you walk in obedience, right? What does it look like? Because when we look at Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, right? They were delivered into captivity. So no longer are they in their own nation, their homeland. They're service now to a king who's not Israel. But throughout their walk, right, throughout their life up to this point, they've been prepared. They've been built up. Right? They've been made a standard. And man, there's so many other examples because of course we can go to Daniel 3 as well, and you can look at Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego doing the same thing. We're gonna read Daniel 1 because we're gonna see that word in the salt. But we all get time, read Daniel 3, and you'll see it further put on display. That the word was in them, and when put to the test, they were unshakable, unmovable, no matter what the outcome was going to be, because they desired to walk in righteousness above all. And so we got to ask ourselves, while the Most High is still giving us breath, is that your heart? Right? Is there anything within you right now that if it was to happen, it would lead you or possibly lead you astray, cause you to stumble, right? Is there anything right now that, man, if a family member was to walk in, if a individual was to walk in, that you knew from way back that used to talk crazy to you, right? How do you see yourself handling that situation, right? Is it instruction that the Most High gave you to walk in that you know you're not doing? Something He told you to cut off, something that He told you to pick up and start doing so that you can cleave to Him and you haven't done it yet. Or you did it for a little bit, you stop, and you just like, man, I'm gonna start again, man. It's just a lot going on right now. Is it something that He's giving you in order to bring you closer, to prove you with the word that He put in you, and you're not walking in it with all of your heart, mind, and soul? You got to ask yourself that question. If that's the case, you got to repent. You got to turn back to Him and ask Him to strengthen you. Because not only are you going to do what's right, but you want to continue in it, right? Because your desire should be Him above all. All right, Daniel 1, and then we'll end it out. We'll stop here. We'll start from verse 1. I'll read it down real fast just so we understand what's going on. They've been taken into captivity. Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, because of their position in Israel, right? They've been put underneath the king, which we know is Nebuchadnezzar. Right? And oh my God, this thing goes so deep. Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego were put there to prove Nebuchadnezzar. This is what Imam was talking about earlier. Man, I'm telling you, this is why it's so important to stand on His word. Man, the Most High ain't dealing with somebody who don't belong to Him. He gonna use you. You're the vessel that's gonna deal with Him because He's in you. Man, he sent Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego to prove Nebuchadnezzar. Right? Because they showed themselves to be a proven vessel already. They showed themselves to be righteous, to have a heart towards Him. So He knew at no point were they gonna give themselves over to Nebuchadnezzar and flee from him. So He used them. Right? They were prepared. All right, Daniel 1. It says, in the 3rd year of the reign of Jehoiakim, king of Judah, came Nebuchadnezzar, king of Babylon, unto Jerusalem, and besieged it. And the Lord gave Jehoiakim, king of Judah, into his hand with part of the vessels of the house of God, which he carried into the land of Shinar to the house of his gods. And he brought the vessels into the treasure house of his God. And the king spake unto Ashpenaz, the master of his eunuchs, that he should bring certain of the children of Israel and of the king's seed, pay attention, remember that word, right? And of the princes, children in whom was no blemish, but well favored and skillful in all wisdom and cunning and knowledge and understanding science, and such as had the ability in them to stand in the king's palace, and whom they might teach the learning and the tongue of the Chaldeans. And the king appointed them a daily provision of the king's meat and of the wine which he drank, so nourishing them 3 years, that at the end thereof they might stand before the king. So the eunuch is in charge of what? Preparing the servants that have been brought out of Israel and been put into captivity. His responsibility is to prep them to see Nebuchadnezzar. Right? That's his job. But he's going to prep them according to what? According to unrighteousness, according to his gods. Let's keep reading. Verse 6, it says, now among these were the children of Judah, Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, unto whom the prince of the eunuchs gave names, for he gave unto Daniel the name Belteshazzar, and to Hannah, and to Hananiah, Shadrach, and to Mishael, Meshach, and to Azariah, Abednego. Verse 8, but Daniel purpose in his heart that he would not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank. Therefore he requested of the prince of the eunuchs that he might not defile himself. Now God had brought Daniel into favor and tender love with the prince of the eunuchs. And the prince of the eunuchs said unto Daniel, I fear my lord, the king, who have appointed your meat and your drink, for why should he see your faces why should he see your faces worse liking than the children which are of your sort? Then shall you make me endanger my head to the king. So, man, this reminds you of Joseph, right? So many others who came before him, who even in the worst situation, they still have favor. Esther comes to mind as well, right? Even in the situation that they're in, because the Most High is with them, because he supports them, he is proving them, right? They belong to him, that he is going to cover you. Even in the midst of your enemies, he'll cause them to give into your bosom. That's the word, right? He'll cause your enemies, people who don't even believe the same thing that you believe, to give you favor because you stand on his word. So he did that for Daniel, man. He had this is the prince of the eunuchs, and he inquiring to Daniel. He ain't just telling them, man, y'all gonna eat this because I ain't about to die, right? That's how most of us would be. Like, look, I understand you know you worship this God and everything, but you're gonna eat this, right? Because my life is on the line. And he told him, because he had such respect for him, what should I do? Because if y'all appear before the king and you look all weak, right, and famished, right, I'm gonna be destroyed. It's my neck on the line, right? But Daniel knows the Most High. He understands the power of Yah. So all he has to do is what? Continue to have that faith, that trust and belief in him, and walk in obedience. He knows it's going to work out, right? These type of things don't shake him. For even for some, man, you might be in this situation because you got compassion for the eunuch. That might cause you to go astray. A lot of us sometimes that could be a trap for us, man. You're over compassionate, even though it's wickedness that's going to come out of a situation. But because you just feel so sorry for a brother or sister, man, you'll put the word down and go and do something that you know is unrighteous. And we got to be careful of that. Right? Stand on his word and let the Most High prove himself. Right? Let the Most High prove himself through you. Have faith in him, no matter what the situation looks like. Why the word says, man, we walk by faith and what? Not by sight. Don't mean we walk with our eyes closed. It means we're not led or directed by how things look outwardly, because we know who Yah is. All right. This is what Daniel understood. Let's finish it out. Verse 11. It says, then said Daniel to Melzar, whom the prince of the eunuchs had set over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, prove thy servants. Right? So he said, test us. Prove us. I beseech thee 10 days, and let them give us post to eat and water to drink. Then let our continence be looked upon before thee, and the continence of the children that eat of the portion of the king's meat. And as thou seest, deal with thy servants. So, man, if we look weaker than them, they look mightier than us, they look fresher than us, right? More vibrant. We're like, man, whatever you choose to do with us, man, you can count us disobedient and judge us however you see fit. Right? But he already knows the power of the Most High. 14, it says, so he consented to them in this matter, and proved them 10 days. And at the end of the 10 days, their countenance appeared fairer and fatter in flesh than all the children which did eat the portion of the king's meat. Thus Melzar took away the portion of their meat and the wine that they should drink, and gave them post. And as for these 4 children, God gave them knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom, and Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. So what do we see just take place? Because Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego, I always forget their real names, right? Everybody but Daniel. I never call him Belshazzar, but the other ones, I call them by their Babylonian names. We got to stop that. I'm gonna have to practice, right? But for these 4 brothers, because they stood on the word of the Most High, not only did He do a work in them, but man, this thing went out from them. This is what that word proved, that word in the saw. This is how important it is for us to go through these trials, because the Most High has proven that word. And once we make it through the trial, somebody else now is going to receive a blessing from it. Somebody else now has an opportunity to become more whole, right? They have an opportunity to get rid of anger, jealousy, bitterness. They have an opportunity to put down wicked lust and fornication and adultery. They had the opportunity to put down fear when you put it down, when you make it through the trial. And now these things no longer affect you, man. When they look at you, they can walk in that. They can learn of you, right? Or let me rephrase that. They can learn of the Most High through you. Because they were fattier and or they were fair and more healthy. Man, he said, man, I'm putting everybody on this diet. And now what do we see, man? They were blessed after that by the Most High. They were blessed. They just grew closer to him. They just grew closer to him. Do y'all think because these other servants who were there and they were eating the king's meat, man, some of them probably were still worshiping the same idols, even though they were put on a new diet, and they saw the works of the Most High through Daniel and the other 3 brothers. Right? But guess what? The word has been revealed to them at that point. And it's up to them to walk in it. But those brothers had to go through the trial first. Their life was on the line. It seems like a small thing because we're just talking about food and we know how it worked out. But when you actually read it, man, you understand, man, they was putting their lives on the line because they trusted in Yah. Right? Are we doing that? Are we doing it? You got to ask yourself that question. You got to walk in what the Most High is giving you. Go ahead, Moreh. What you got?
Nah, I just was saying, bro, it's a beautiful lesson. So it is encouraging because like when you go through the trials and tribulations, it really ain't about you. It could be for the people that's coming behind you, family members and friends. So it's good stuff, brother. I just wanted to say that.
Right. It just like I said before, that's why that Hebrew definition is so important, because you're being lifted up for a reason. Yeah, you're being drawn closer to Him, man. We always receive a benefit. This is what when we read that Genesis 22, you understand, like after he obeyed Yah, and Yah, he brought them a sacrifice, or he gave them a sacrifice. Man, after that, Abraham was drawn closer to him. Right? He blessed him after that. But that blessing, when it comes to Abraham, was not just for him, it was for the generations to come. He was lifted up as the standard. Remember, right after that, after he was proven and he passed the test, the angel of the Lord appeared to him and what? Showed him the judgment of Sodom and Gomorrah. He hadn't done anything like that beforehand. Right? Because Abraham had to be built up, he had to be established, and he had to be lifted up to that place where he could show him those things. Man, he after he passed that test, man, he came to feast with him. Hear what I'm saying, man. Then we're gonna close. He came to feast with him, and then he literally said to him, should I not show you what I'm about to do with Sodom and Gomorrah? Should I not show you the judgment, knowing that what? Your seed is going to be established in the earth to do what? Righteousness, justice, and judgment. That's why that same authority has been given to us if we are obedient. But you got to walk in it, right? He will show you certain things. He will reveal certain things to you, give you discernment, man. He will give you revelation of things that are going to happen. Give you an understanding and wisdom of things that have happened and why they happen. Not just so you can boast and brag and exalt yourself, man, so that you can do a work, right? So that you can understand what's going on, so that you can not only prepare yourself, but prepare others coming behind you who are yoked to you. That's what he did with Abraham. And we saw Abraham, he had a righteous mindset even in that when he was talking about destroying Sodom and Gomorrah. He knew how wicked Sodom and Gomorrah was. But the only thought on his mind, which for a lot of us, man, if the Most High was to appear to you and say, "Hey, I'm about to destroy Las Vegas," we just be like, "Man, about time. Hey, about time. What took you so long? Wipe it out. Get rid of it. It's wicked, right? Nothing but wickedness going on there. They call it the city of sin, right? But what was Abraham's mindset? He was like, yeah, but what if it's righteous people down there? You gonna destroy them too? Remember that? This was his heart. He had a heart like Hamashiach. He didn't want to stop the judgment from going forward. He just wanted to know, man, is there a way for the righteous to be delivered so that they don't bear the same judgment with the wicked? And that's where you see that whole dialogue going, from 50 all the way down to 10, or 40 all the way down to 10. And so, all I'm trying to say, family, is that we have to maintain course and really understand that in this hour, it's never been about us as individuals, right? You should not just be concerned with yourself and yourself alone when it comes to what you receive from the Most High, right? What you freely receive, that you should freely give. But understand that when a word is revealed to you, when He's giving you instruction, the test is coming, and when the test comes, it is to bring you closer. Right? He's not trying to get you to do wickedness. He's trying to get you to bring His flesh under subjection by following His word. The more you do it, the easier it is. Right? And the small things that you start to conquer, you might not think it's a big thing to switch up your diet and start eating clean. Right? You might think it's small to stop cursing. You might think it's a small thing to stop doing drugs and things like that. But man, these things, He's building you. He's establishing you. Right? Man, he took my brother O. Man, look at him, man. He was the type of music that he was doing before, man, He delivered him from that. He's still using the same gift, but what for him? But I guarantee you, for Art, man, it's a trial every time when it comes to what? The money. Because he already know the gift he got, man. The brother cold when it comes to these lyrics and spitting on the mic. So people are gonna hear that and they're gonna say, what, man? Hey, we got a bag for you over here. But to get this bag, this is what you gotta do. That's the trial. But he already got the word in him. He's already prepared. All he gotta do is go to war. All he got to do is go to war with the tools that he already has been given by way of the Most High. That's the same for all of us, right? Same for all of us. And so that's all I got at this hour. We'll get more into it next week. Y'all willing, we can get the Hamashiach. We'll try to finish this up next week. So we're gonna be running, from the time that we get on. Right? I'm gonna start on time. Whoever not on, y'all can just get in where y'all fit in and catch the recording later. But we're gonna run it because I want to get the Hamashiach because he is the perfect example. And then we'll see what he left behind, which is not only the disciples, but it came down to us. There was a separation where the word was taken away from us, but the Most High still, because he is who he is. He is him, right? He's that guy. He has brought us into this covenant, right? And opened our eyes to continue to walk into this word, to continue to walk in the footsteps of our forefathers, of our ancestors, right? So we're gonna bring this thing full circle. Anybody got anything to add before we close out? Appreciate you being on the call with me. Go ahead. Go ahead, Sid.
So I hope I convey this correctly. But when you first of all, it was a good lesson. But when you broke down the Hebrew word, was it Nasah? about being proven, it kind of started making me think about Job when you brought up Saul. And I kind of started like comparing the two. And when you compare the two, like you kind of see the word broken down. Because in Saul, like when you broke down the word, it's kind of like like someone like the seed being lifted up or being supported. That kind of made me think of like something being inspected, like like you have a pile of something, maybe fruit or whatever, and you picking it up. The Most High is picking it up, and it's like He's inspecting it. And then the hay comes in, where that's where the separation comes in, where it's like you either get put in the pile of good fruit or you get put in the pile of like bad fruit. So like it just made me think of that when it kind of made it make more sense to me when you broke it down, because it's like when you compare Saul and Job, Job, he was being, proven and lifted up and being proven for the word that the Most High had put in him. But he's the example of being separated into the righteous pile versus Saul being separated into the unrighteous pile after he had been proven. Even when people were coming, he had to ultimately forgive his friends when they came against him, trying to accuse him of doing stuff that he didn't even do. He still held on to the Most High's word. And you can see Saul completely being reprobate, like you said, going into that reprobate mind. So I just wanted to add that in because it made me understand it a little bit better about like just being proven. It's like, being inspected by the Most High, to see like, if you're going to, what side you're going to be put on.
Man, fire word, Coach T. Fire. Man, me and Emar, kid you not. We do a Bible study every other Sunday with our immediate family, right? It's my auntie, my sister, and my brother. We just got done reading Job. And I'm telling you, man, you hit it right on the head, man. Job, when people read Job, or at least for me, I'll speak for myself. When I first read Job, man, I thought this all happened like in a week. You know what I'm saying? I thought when he went through the trial, man, it was like, hey, it was Monday, man, he got afflicted, and then by Sunday, man, he was about to increase in everything, right? So it's like, although I don't want to go through that type of trial, I was like, man, he didn't really have to endure that long, man. People don't understand, man. It was years, and it wasn't only when you read Job, man. We broke it down. It wasn't only his friends that was at his bedside, right? His wife told him to curse God and die, right? Remember that? So he got his help me telling him, man, hey, just give it up. Man. It's over, right? We done lost everything. We poor now, right? So his wife told him to curse God and die. He told her what he called her a foolish woman. Said, if I received all this good, should I not receive bad either? Which means, man, whatever the Most High chooses to do, I know He's still with me. This is why that's so fire what you brought out. Not only was it them who were close to him, man. If you read the whole story of Job, man, it was people in the city that was talking bad about it. Man, he was like, it's people walking up and down the marketplace, man, and they saying, oh man, we knew it. Right? We knew that nigga we knew he was a sinner. Right? We knew he was wicked. You know what I'm saying? He was perpetrating the whole time, and he had all this stuff. He was making it seem like he good, man. We knew he was off. Man, they were saying this thing. So he was walking amongst these people, man. They were saying, hey, shalom, brother, and all this stuff like that. But behind his back, man, they hated him. Or they were jealous of him. Right? And so when he actually fell down bad, they was talking about it. And didn't want to come near him, let alone his three friends who was trying to convince him that he had sinned, right? If it wasn't for Eliyahu, right, the youngest person in the room, to put everybody back in right standing, because he understood, man, y'all talking crazy. And then when the Most High spoke to him, that's when Job understood, right? He understood, because Job thought he knew the Most High more than he did. He thought he had a deeper understanding than the Most High had given him, right? And so in Job's heart, why Job is a testament for us, Job was down bad in his heart. He was saying, why repent? Or in his heart, he was saying, why pray to the Most High for deliverance? Right? He was like, the Most High gonna do what he gonna do anyway. Right? He put me in this position when if he wanted to deliver me and heal me, he would, and he's not doing it. So what's the point of me even going to him and praying to him and asking for deliverance? He was like, all I want is death. That's it. That's all he prayed for. You read that whole story, man. All he prayed for was death. And they were telling him to repent. He was like, repent for what? And then for him, he was like, I'm not even going to pray to the Most High and try to seek understanding because I already know what he's doing. But he did. So the Most High had to reveal that to him. And then after he repented for himself, then he was delivered. And then once he was delivered, he had to repent for his friends, right? And then, believe it or not, towards the end of that, when he gets restored everything back, tenfold, everybody who was hating on him come right back around. It's crazy. Go ahead and come to Mr. Lee. You have something?
I'm gonna table it. I'm gonna think on it some more, and I'm gonna table it.
Okay. All right. Gotcha. Blessings. Anybody else got anything before we close? Anything at all? All right, family. I know it's late. I'm gonna let y'all go. We're gonna pray out. Come from 1 Corinthians 1:10. We'll pick this up next week. We're gonna get the e-bike sent out. We also are gonna fast next week. I will have those. I'll have the instructions by Sunday. Right? Hallelujah. I'll have the instructions by Sunday on how the fast is gonna go as far as the prayer times and the instruction. Right? I can tell y'all now. It's just we're gonna do a 2-day fast. Just water, right, or just liquids. Right? So we're gonna do a 2-day fast, no food, liquids. For 2 days, and then we'll have prayer times, morning and evening, and of course we'll get into the word and everything like that as we prepare ourselves for Shavuot. Right, fasting is a good way to approach the throne of the Most High, clear your mind, hit the reset button as we get ready to go into another feast day. All right, so that's coming. I'll try to have that, or I'll have it for you by Sunday. All right. Nobody has anything else. Go ahead, Iman. You have something?
No, I was just clarifying. You said we're fasting next week, or is it the week after?
Let me check. Yeah, the week after. So we're gonna do it. We're gonna do it the 24th at sundown to the 26th at sundown. All right. So we're gonna start our fast Wednesday night, and it's gonna end as we come into the Shabbat. Right? Which of course, is a feast day, so we'll eat then, and then that Sunday is gonna be Shavuot, right? So of course, every year Pentecost, man. So I don't want to go too deep into it. I'll be talking forever, but we got a Shabbat coming, right? Shavuot is important. It's an important feast to keep. But yeah, you're right, Iman. It's gonna be the 24th through the 26th, 24th at evening to the 26th at evening. Thank you. I appreciate that, and I'll send that out. All right. Anybody got anything else? Anything at all? All right, family. Let's pray
Beautiful
out.
word, brother. Beautiful word.
Okay. All right. Appreciate it. All praise to the Most High. Man, I love y'all, man. Appreciate y'all and what y'all brought to the table as well, man. I was edified myself. We're going to keep getting it, man. Love this family. All right, let's pray out, family. Abba Yah, we thank you. We glorify you. We thank you for the word that came forth. We just pray that edification was had. We pray that understanding was had of what it is we should be doing in these last days that we're in. You are trying to lift us up a standard. You are trying to build us as a sure vessel that's fit for your use, a wall that cannot be destroyed, that cannot be broken. You are trying to build us up to be righteous brothers and sisters, righteous children that are worthy of carrying your name and representing the character of our King Yahushua HaMashiach. So we just pray that you would keep that in our hearts and minds, allow the word to come and fill us up. Whenever there is a thought to do wrong, let your word take authority. Let your word reign supreme over every negative word, over every negative principality, over anything that would have us walking in iniquity right now. We just pray right now that your word would rule, rest, and abide in us and over us right now, so that we may be proven. We may be proven children, proven saints for those who are lost, those who are in darkness, those who are seeking deliverance, those who are seeking understanding of who you are, but have no direction right now, no clear path. They can't see in front of them because of all the sin that is in them, everything that has them bound right now. Let us be proven. Let us make it through these trials right now. Let us make it out the other end to be a light unto those who are seeking you right now, and just let us be that example. Let us bring a word by your will, by your authority, that will bring them to you, so that you can be glorified even more. We thank you for the blood that continues to cover us, protect us as we sleep, keep that hedge of protection around us. For those who are yoked to us that may be lost in any type of confusion, any type of anxiety, fear, any type of just wicked lust, any type of jealousy, any type of bitterness, depression. We come against all those things, and we pray that you would make us an example of how they should walk in righteousness, so that they can be delivered from those things as well. If they claim to be a part of this body, let them seek you. And if they can't see you, let them seek us, so that we can bring them to you, Abba. It is in your name we just thank you. In the name Yahushua HaMashiach, our King, our High Priest, our Messiah, we give you praise. Amen. Hallelujah. All right. 1 Corinthians 1:10. Now I beseech you, brethren, by the name of our Lord Jesus Christ, that ye all speak the same thing, and that there be no divisions among you, but that ye be perfectly joined together in the same mind and in the same judgment. Hallelujah. Shalom. Love y'all. Y'all have a blessed night. See y'all on the Shabbat.
Shalom.
Shalom, shalom, good night.